Da da dee da 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 ba 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 bum do 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 do. Department of Bunny Efficiency, a Monkey-Joe story, 1 of 4. When Cottontail Rabbit Graham Cleese saw the Bunny Broadcast System's coverage of President Plumpty Trumpy's Clover Office announcement concerning the United States of Rabbit's brand new Department of Bunny Efficiency on February 5th, he sent in his application that very day. The BBS had been broadcasting dire information concerning how bird flu had precipitated an egg shortage since before Christmas. And soon after President Trumpy's assumption of office on January 20th, Trumpy created the Department of Bunny Efficiency, or DOBE for short, and appointed Elon Muskrat as its head. Watching the joint Muskrat and Trumpy press conference on February 5th and hearing that he had a chance to become an official US of R Easter Bunny with just 4 weeks of training, Graham turned to his mother and said, Mama, I'm going to become an Easter Bunny so I can deliver Easter eggs to all the human children up near Wilson Rolls in Mason City. In response to Graham's declaration, his mother Beatrix looked up from her knitting, smiled at him, and said, That's nice, dear, before literally returning to her knit 1, purl 2 routine. Graham, having dreamt of being an Easter Bunny for as long as he could remember, broke all records as he scrambled to submit his application. His speedy work in submitting his application allowed his form to arrive well ahead of the bulk that followed and secured him a position at Easter Bunny basic training beginning February 12th. Graham worked hard during his 4 weeks of basic training, and upon completion of training at Fort Dodge and returning home, he said to his folks, My drill sergeant, Instructor Thera, said I graduated in the 66th percentile, the very first Iowa-based dope-trained Easter Bunny Brigade. He said that because I graduated so high that I've got a great chance of getting my first assignment and could wind up delivering Easter eggs in Mason City. Isn't that cool? That's very nice, Graham, his father said. But you know what they say about counting your chickens while they're still eggs. It's great that you're an official USOR Easter Bunny, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Despite his father's wet blanket response, Graham's ears remained high and his nose continued twitching happily. He knew that he'd get his first choice, and come April 20th, he'd be hopping from house to house in his mother's hometown of Mason City, Iowa, while delivering Easter eggs. From February 13th until April 19th, Graham wondered about how the passage of time had managed to slow so dramatically. As the sun set Saturday night, his mother Beatrix, knowing that he'd be up early and would be working hard delivering the Easter eggs the next day, urged him to go to bed early. Recognizing her wisdom, he'd done just that, but sleep had eluded him. Wondering if he'd ever fall asleep, Easter Bunny Graham was awakened at the stroke of 11 p.m. UTC-6 on April 19th, a.k.a. the final hour of Holy Saturday. Graham was awakened when his father Richard tapped gently on Graham's door, entered and whispered, Time to get up, Easter Bunny First Class Graham Cleese. If you want to be first in line at the Martin Luther King Jr. Easter Bunny Transfer Station, then we'd best get hopping. Huh? A barely awake Graham said in response. Could I just sleep another 10 minutes? I'm sure you could, but you most certainly may not, Richard said gently. Come on, Bunny boy. It can't be first unless we get moving. Grab your Mason City coordinates and let's get hopping. Okay, Papa, Graham said with a smile. Okay, let's go, as he slipped from his bed, grabbed the slip of paper with his 43 degrees, 9 minutes, 9 seconds, 0.7 north, 93 degrees, 12 minutes, 9.7 seconds west coordinates. Graham followed his father up from their burrow, waited while his dad stuck first his ears, then his nose, and finally all of his head above ground, and declared, Woo-hoo-wee, this moon is amazing. We should be able to see, hear, and smell anything funny in search of a bunny between here and the transfer station behind the humans' DMV. Richard and Graham, leery of predators, hopped swiftly but silently and whispered softly as they traveled southward from their bunny burrow in the woods just east of Des Moines' Ding Darling Trail. Graham asked his father, Did you know that there are an estimated 345,678,912 humans living in the United States of Rabbits? Well, sort of, Richard replied. I mean, I knew it was around 350 million. Did you know we have 54,321,987 humans under the age of 11? Graham said a bit too loudly. Shh, Richard hushed. There's foxes in these woods. Right, sorry, Graham said penitently. No, I didn't know that about the 54 million. About 66.6% of USOR humans celebrate Easter, Graham said softly. So that means it takes 20,745 official DOB Easter bunnies to deliver our 1,728 Easter eggs to make sure that our gotta be finished before sunrise egg deliveries are on time. Do you know how many eggs per minute we EBs have to deliver to get all of our dozen score painted Easter eggs placed in our 4 hours or less shift to make sure they're all in place before sunrise? Richard said, let's see. You said that you have to deliver 1,728 eggs. You have to finish before sunrise, and that you're supposed to complete your deliveries in 4 hours? Well, that means you have to deliver each egg at a little over 7 seconds per egg. Wow, no wonder Easter eggs are delivered by Easter bunnies. We're one of the few species that can keep hopping along at that pace for 4 whole hours. Wow. I know, Graham said softly. It's kind of overwhelming. Well, listen, Graham, if any bunny can do it, I know you can, Richard said as the pair reached US Highway 6. Wait here 1 second, and I'll make sure the bridge is clear. Dad added as he scampered up the grassy slope and checked out the bridge that spanned the Des Moines River. Finding the sidewalk empty, Richard signaled Graham to join him, then led the way over the river. Finished with their bridge crossing, they immediately hopped north again, back onto the grass, and then circled around to the back of the big DMV building where the Martin Luther King Jr. Easter Bunny Transfer Station was located. Arriving at 2345, the Cleeses were able to walk right into the MLK Jr. Easter Bunny transport system, where a young buck and an even younger doe sat laughing and chit-chatting by the transfer device while looking at a computer screen. Good morning, youngsters, Richard said amiably as he approached. This is my son Graham's first time as an Easter Bunny. He's itching to get started. Is there any way that he can go a bit early? Sorry, the young buck said without looking up from the screen he was sharing with the doe. Our orders are to start processing EBs no sooner than the stroke of Easter local time. So that's what we've got to do, as he returned to pointing at the screen and whispering to his fellow doe technician. Oh, Richard said, voice filled with great disappointment. Are you sure? Graham here is really raring. The doe sighed mightily, swiveled her chair towards Graham and Richard, rolled her eyes, scowled, and in an exasperated tone asked, Do you have the coordinates for where you want to go? I do, Graham said, holding his paper high. I'm just going north to Mason City. It's not far at all. What do you say, Stanley? She asked with a huge exhale of breath. Get him out of our hair. Get it out of our hair. I got it, Corsetine, Stanley said, shaking his head. That joke's older than the resurrection. Okay, noob. Grab your EEC, give me your coordinate slip, then slip into the transporter. We'll send you and your requisite dozen gross of painted Easter eggs to the spot of your preference. EEC, Graham asked. Oh, my Easter egg carrier and coordinate transmitter. Right. That's how you track us EBs and our efficiency. I'll slip that on, he said, slipping into the mesh coat that held his 1,728 hard-boiled and beautifully painted Easter eggs. Holding out a paw, Stanley said, Hand me the slip into the transporter, and we'll send you on your way. Oh, thank you, Stanley, he said, handing Stanley a slip and adding, Thank you, Corsetine, as he hopped into the transporter. I'll never forget this day. 1 minute, Graham, Richard said, hopping to the transporter. Before you go, I need a nose kiss from my best boy. Of course, Graham said, coming to the very edge of the transporter to where he rubbed noses with father. Go back to bed and get some sleep. I'll be back well before sunrise. Come on, Stanley said, rolling his eyes as he handed Graham's coordinate sheet to Corsetine. We don't have all day, adding, Read 'em and don't make me weep. One shot of Tehran is plenty. 10-4, Corsetine said, rolling her eyes from her lofty dobe technician position, then reading 9 degrees, 25 minutes, 53.4 seconds south, and 52 degrees, 12 minutes, and 9 in .7 seconds west, as Stanley typed the coordinates 9 degrees, 25 minutes, 53.4 seconds south. 52 degrees, 12 minutes, 9.7 seconds west. Be sure to do excellent work, Stanley said, handing Graham's coordinate slip back to him, then hitting the transporter button at 11:52 a.m. that made Graham and his eggs disappear as they were transported to decidedly different coordinates than those for Mason City, Iowa.